Okay then guys, so the first thing that we have to talk about is choosing the rubber that's going to go in our squeegee. Now to start with, you get soft and hard rubbers and loads of different variations in between. But generally speaking, soft rubber is for colder climates and a hard rubber is for warmer climates. So here in the UK, generally, especially here in Scotland for sure, the soft rubber is ideal because we have a fairly cooler kind of climate. So we get away with using the soft rubber pretty much all year round. But if you're in a country where the weather's quite hot, you may find that you'll need to switch over to the hard rubber. Okay, so there you go. But there are loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of different brands. So how do you go about choosing the right brand for you? Well, what I did when I first started out was I bought one piece of 36-inch strip of different brands, you know. So I would use one for a little while, get a feel for it, see if I like the glide on the glass and that, and the wear, the durability of that rubber. And if I wasn't too keen on it, then I would try the next batch, until eventually I narrowed it down to the fact that I like Etre Master Soft. That's a really nice brand, but I also use the Mormon soft rubber as well. Now, generally when people ask me what rubber to go for, the first question I ask them is, how heavy-handed are you? Because the Mormon soft rubber is to be used with a light touch and also being quite careful on the frames. But if you prefer sort of speed over precision and you're working on frames that are maybe quite rough as well, then quite often I'll point people towards Etre Master Soft Rubber because that's a little bit better durability. But the reason I do like the Mormon Soft Rubber is that the glide is really nice and it wears in quicker. Etre Master Soft can take up to sometimes 2 days before it really wears in and performs nicely. Whereas the Mormon rubber only takes a couple of jobs in the morning. Basically by about lunchtime it's performing quite well. So it swings and roundabouts, you know guys, there's trade-offs with everything, and squeegee rubber is no different. So in choosing your squeegee rubber, this is my top tip, is to buy a small batch of maybe a few different brands, try them out, see what you think and give it a go, you know. But like I say, cold climate, soft rubber, hot climate, a hard rubber. Okay, so onwards and upwards, we've chosen our rubber, what do we do next? Okay guys, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to load this rubber into our channel. Now today we've got a 16-inch Mormon liquidator. Now you can't actually buy a 16-inch at the moment. This used to be an 18. I've modified it, basically just cut down the channel to a 16 because it fits the windows better that I do. But that's irrelevant, the size of it. We're going to be talking about how to load the squeegee rubber into the channel properly and easily. Especially in these channels where you've got the blue clips, some people find that it can be a bit of a tight fit. So we're going to give you a little tip today on how to load your rubber. So just to simulate, we've got a little basin of water here. Okay, this is going to simulate your bucket of water that you carry around with you in your car or your van. So what we're going to do is we're just simply going to place the rubber into the water. Okay, so just let the excess kind of drip off there. Right, so we've completely immersed the rubber in water. Okay, what do we do now? Do we just throw it in the channel? Well, actually, there's a little extra tip I'm going to give you just to make it ever so slightly easier. All right. So what I normally do is I've got the writing on one side of the rubber, which says the name of the brand normally, and the other side is blank. Okay. So normally what I do is, so I know which one is side 1 and side 2, because you can use both sides of the rubber, I put the writing facing towards me, so that's side 1. So obviously if that's the blade like that, the writing is going to be towards you. Okay, so to load it, we're going to just start it off, we're going to just push it in about maybe 1 centimeter or 2. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and create less friction along the channel so it makes it a bit easier to get through. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our detergent. Now it can be any detergent. If it's fairy liquid, it could be the Mormon Squeeze Deluxe, it could be anything to try and create a bit of a slip in the channel. All right, so what we're going to do is just basically where the rubber has ended there, we're going to put a little bit of detergent just in front of it. So we're going to create a bit better slip, a bit less friction. You can already see how easy that is now to push the rubber along. You'll see sometimes people are pulling the rubber, trying to get it into the channel, or it's too much friction. So if you wet the rubber, bit of detergent, you can actually just use 2 fingers, and it's quite simple. Just pull it along the channel, okay? Nice and easy as that. Look, 2 fingers, no stress, okay? So we've loaded our rubber in. Now, especially on these liquidator channels, we're recommended to have the rubber cut flush at the ends, okay? So have it in line with the blue clips, all right? So we're not gonna have anything sticking out over the blue clip, and we're not gonna have any of the blue clip showing here either. So the rubber's not too short, not too long, it's just nice and flush, all right? And the reason why we've cut at these angles as well is to get into the corners of the framework. All right, so we've loaded our rubber, okay? It's sitting nicely. And what we don't want is, well, we don't want any lumps or bumps along the channel, i.e. that it's, we'll try and demonstrate for you a little bit. Okay, what we don't want, it's too slidey, it's not gonna do it now. Right, just, this is maybe a bit over dramatic, but okay, I'm gonna push this rubber like that. Well, that's kind of what we don't want, okay? We don't want ripples in the rubber, because that will basically leave solution behind on the glass and make a mess. So make sure when you have a look at your rubber, have a look at it just down the blade and make sure that you've got a nice smooth continuous line, and you can also have a look at it along horizontally as well. Make sure you're happy and it's nice and flat, nice and flush, okay? So no lumps, bunks, or little bits sticking out at the ends, or it's not too short, it's just right. Okay, so we've loaded our rubber. What do we do now? The next thing, guys, is choosing our solution. Now, again, same as the squeegee rubbers, there are loads of solutions out there, loads of them, from professional detergents all the way to sort of this, which is quite common. So in America, we've got bubbles flying around everywhere. In America, we have, the main contender is Dawn, I believe. Now, in the UK, the main one is Fairy Liquid. It's basically the same kind of idea. You get different variants of Fairy, there's Platinum and Lemon and all sorts of bits and bobs. So this is just one, quite a common one people use. Now, how do you go about choosing the right solution? Well, again, same idea, is just buy small batches of detergents and try them. There are professional detergents that you add to the bucket. So you've got things like there's Unger, there's the Unger gel, sorry, that goes on the applicator. And then there's an Unger solution, which you actually put in your bucket. There's GG3 and GG4, that's professional detergents as well. The slip's not overly great in them, to be honest. But yeah, dish soaps like this, great glide, really good glide. That's why they're so popular to use. And now the Mormon Squeeze Deluxe is out as well. That's got amazing glide as well. And it's a professional detergent that, from my experience using it, leaves a lot less film on the glass than these dish soaps. Okay, so say for instance, you've had a fire through of different detergents and you found one that you like, okay? How are we gonna apply it to our applicator bucket? What do we do? Well, personally, guys, I would recommend that if you give it a try, see what you think, but dunk your applicator in a clean bucket of water, so there's nothing in it apart from water. Dunk it in, shake off the excess, all right? So we don't want it absolutely dripping, just, you know, what's a better word for, not soaking, but enough water that you can get a few windows done, all right? The next thing we're gonna do is take our detergent, now whether that's Fairy Liquid, Dawn, Mormon Squeeze Deluxe, whatever it is, and we're gonna actually apply the detergent directly to the applicator. So whether it's a line, a very thin line on one side, a thin line on the other, or you can just put a dot at each end, something like that, or some people actually put it inside of the sleeve as well. Whatever is easiest for you guys, whatever is best. But why would we apply detergent to the applicator and not just put it in the bucket like everybody else used to do in times gone by? Well, the simple solution is, no pun intended, solution, that the solution is actually quite thick and a great consistency on the glass. If you apply the detergent just to the water, you'll find that when you apply it to the glass, it's quite a runny consistency, and it just kind of really makes a mess and you haven't got much control over it. It just kind of floods down the glass, okay? But try it, see what you think, guys. rub it into the glass, and you'll find that your solution won't really move. You know, it'll just be static, and then you can blade through it, nice glide to it all the way to the bottom, and there's hardly anything really to tidy up at the bottom, just obviously a little bit of suds at the bottom of the frame, rather than puddles and puddles and puddles of water. Okay, try it out, see what you think, and let me know how you get on in the comments box below, guys. So we've chosen our detergent, we've chosen our rubber, we've loaded the squeegee, everything's good, we've got the detergent on the applicator, so what's next? The next thing, guys, is how to hold the squeegee. So it sounds a bit silly maybe, but there is a technique to it, and there is an angle to hold the squeegee at. Now let's grab this squeegee that we've got here. So we've got our 16-inch channel, and we've got a standard handle, liquidator handle, okay. All right, so very simple, straightforward, all right. Now, what angle do you hold it at on the glass? Well, rather than demonstrate what angle to hold, it's actually easier just to explain what part of the rubber that we're aiming to use. Now, we're not aiming to use this flat bit of the rubber where the writing is, and we're not aiming to use the back of the rubber, obviously, that would be silly. And we're not aiming to use the top of the rubber either. Actually, what we're aiming to use, guys, is the very edge of that blade, all the way along there. Okay, so when you put it on the glass, if you're quite new to window cleaning, this will give you an idea of what angle to hold your any squeegee at, because different handles have different angles. Okay. Now, I've actually modified these handles slightly, because originally when they come out the box, they're around, I think it's 25 degrees, something like that. Now, I kind of prefer in and around 15 degrees, okay, something in and around that, because I find it easier to close out on some windows that I have. So what I did was basically, I took this apart and I put this in a vise and bent it back slightly to around about 15 degrees. Okay, so I like that angle. Okay. So anyway, yes, we're aiming to use this edge of the blade here. So what I would do if I was you guys, especially if you're new, is pop your new squeegee on the glass and have a look at it from the side, all right? And I want you to play around with moving your wrist up and down and seeing what angle it is that basically the glass makes contact with the edge of that blade. So go to the extremes. See how far down you go before you lose contact with the edge of that blade and you're now touching here, so you get an idea of what not to do. And also go the other way, so you get an idea of at what point you've got your wrist in the air, so you're then on this part of the blade, you know? So you ideally, like I say, you want to be right on the edge of that blade. That's what you want to use and aim for. So play around with it on the glass, guys. Hold the squeegee handle at different angles and have a look at it from the side and go, nope, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. Yep, okay, about there, right. And then hold it there on the glass and then have a look. Come around behind the squeegee and go, okay, great, right, okay, I've got that. So once you've mastered that in hand, you then need to do the same for pull work as well. Because if you change the angle of the squeegee while you're using it for pull work, it can make a bit of a mess. So it's just practice and perseverance. But once you've kind of got a feel for what angle that handle should be at, either in hand or on a pull, and you know that you should be aiming to use the edge of the blade, you'll get a feel for what angle to hold the squeegee at. Don't worry, it'll come with time and patience, guys. I promise you, just persevere with it and you will succeed. All right, so say for instance, we've got all that down. We've chosen our rubber, we've got it loaded, we've got our detergent at the ready and it's applied to our applicator. We've mastered how to hold the squeegee on, you know, a pole or in hand. So what's the final thing that we need to do? Well guys, the final thing for getting any squeegee to perform correctly after we've done all these things that we've talked about today is technique. Okay, now this is a big one, all right? There's loads of different techniques out there. If you search YouTube for window cleaning videos, you will find quite a few different techniques, all right? Now, we're gonna leave a link in the description below to a video I did a little while ago about basic techniques in hand and on a pole, all right? So later on in the future, I'm gonna be doing an advanced techniques video, all right? But we're gonna stick to basics for this video. So all in all, guys, technique wise, it's going to be practice, 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 and practice some more. Practice until you're blue in the face, until your hands hurt and you want to go home. Practice some more, okay? But basically all there is to it is you need to cut in. When you're cutting into the solution, you need to clear that top edge of the frame and then fan down the glass. But like I say, we're going to leave a link in the description below on how to do that. So that, guys, is all the hints and tips for getting your squeegee right. You need the right rubber, you need it set up correctly, cut to length correctly, no ripples, lumps and bumps. Okay, we need the correct detergent. We need it to be nice and slippy, because if there's any friction between the blade and the glass, it's just going to cause a nightmare. You don't want that. So we've got a nice slippy detergent, it's all good, and we're mastering the angles to hold the squeegee at, both in hand and on a pole, and we're mastering our techniques. So guys, if you're having any issues with your squeegees, ping us a message. We can try and maybe help you out and solve the issues, what it possibly could be. But if you apply these hints and tips we've talked about today, it'll probably solve the majority of issues. Okay guys, thank you ever so much for tuning in once again. And we shall see you in the next video, guys. Be good, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.